Good morning, UPBOptionMillionaires.com. It is Thursday, November 20th, 2014. Stock futures are down a little bit. We'll see how long that lasts. Every single dip since the lows in March 2009 has been a great buying opportunity. You can see this trend line here that I would like to draw across here has been acting as support. We're below it, so that's something to keep an eye on. That's a short-term chart, though. If you look, stock futures were weak when we opened the week. Sunday night, Japan came out and said, oh, we're in a recession. Stock futures pulled back. And then the market said, oh, my goodness, a recession? That just means more central bank manipulation. Hey, that means you're going to keep interest rates at 0% or negative for a lot longer than what we thought. And then the Federal Reserve minutes came out yesterday and pretty much confirmed that. Interest rates back, I remember so vividly back in December 2008 when they lowered interest rates as low as they could possibly go to Federal Reserve. And it was only going to be a year or two. Okay, that would have brought us to 2010, 2011. Here we are, almost 2015, and interest rates probably aren't going to be, hiked for another year and a half, 2 years, possibly. And that's just going to get moved out. And so low interest rates equals cheap money. And cheap money means corporations can utilize that money to buy back stock, which means bigger bonuses for the executives. I mean, that's what's, it's greed. So we can see this market was pulling back at the middle of the summer in August, bounced there. Everybody was calling for a bear market here. And then this pullback, this was pretty nasty. And I brought this up in my video the other day. And we've had this really strong move up, but we're starting to pull back a little bit here. Something to keep an eye on. You draw a trend line across. We're underneath it. We'll see if this starts to roll over. Let's look at some individual names. Whole Foods. I brought this up here. I put a chart up on StockTwits. Great place to share your ideas. You trade ideas. There's a long-term 10-year monthly chart, but you can see I was talking about this pretty much all summer. As long as it held this support line, which it did, we were going to see higher prices. And I said into the fall, we're going to see probably 50 or better. And we're right about there. I mean, this is a great call here. What I'd like to watch for is we've got the left shoulder. This could be a right shoulder here. We need to break above it. And I think what is going to possibly send it over 50 bucks here, possibly as soon as tonight, maybe tomorrow, would be the Fresh Market, which reports earnings after the bell today. I actually got into their earnings, calls for earnings. I got to $30 calls for $1.30. The last earnings report, we saw a spike up to $33 and $34. So we'll see if that, and you can see the move up every month since the last earnings report. We've seen positive action here for the stock. We could see if this heads up to about 45, which would be about a 12-13% move from here. We could see Whole Foods continue the run up and it'd be over 50 bucks tomorrow. So that's something to keep an eye on. Kind of a symbiotic relationship here where we'll get Whole Foods to move higher and or lower with TFM. So you might want to look to trade TFM earnings via Whole Foods because the option is going to be a little cheaper there. We have Intuit earnings after the bell today as well, which recently hit a new all-time high. I'm going to pull back from the monthly, and I'll just give you a 1-year daily chart, and you can see the beautiful move. This is the low here and the trend line acting as support. This is something, it could keep going higher, and it's, in this marketplace, it's so tough to trade against the trend. But there could be a lot of profit here if earnings expectations miss. We could see a pullback to about 85. So I might be looking for some puts on Intuit. And certainly one stock I'm looking for puts for is ROST. Ross Stores reports earnings after the bell. Had a nice day yesterday, up 1%. Retail was just going bonkers. We had Lowe's, Target, Walmart all hitting new all-time record highs, which is clearly indicative of a bubble. I see Best Buy earnings are coming out right now. Let's just pull up Best Buy real quick. Let's see what's going on with the stock because we've seen it before. I got to pull up on the 1-minute chart. There we go. Oh, okay, Best Buy earnings. So there you go. Another retail stock heading higher. Remember, this was priced for bankruptcy like Hewlett-Packard a little bit ago. So we got Best Buy. Ross Stores, again, this is going to be clearly a trade that is... people aren't going to like because, or not going to get into because we've seen retail do so well here on this earnings season. But I see this beautiful megaphone topping pattern where we're getting higher highs and lower lows. And I think a pullback to about 75 is possible, which would be a massive gain. And I'll let you know if I get into some options. I'm not going to go crazy with it, but I think it offers a great opportunity here. Speaking of the consumer, you've got a corporation like JetBlue Now charging for bags. They came out yesterday, and guess what? Analysts are all over it. They're like, this is great news. I mean, the more money you can squeeze out of the consumer these days, the better it is for your stock price. JetBlue's getting upgraded. I believe this is the data right here. We're up 7% just today alone. So IBM, I brought this chart up. I put it on StockTwits. You can see this long-term channel that it was been consolidating in really since 2011. It's broken below it, and this looks really bearish here for IBM. This could be the start of a move down to about 140, possibly 130, and even down here to what we saw back in the middle of 2010, the 120 level. Apple, another upgrade out this morning. I was talking about this again in May of 2013, a nice W bottom. I said it was going to make new all-time highs. Everybody laughed at me back then, but laugh as you may, the stock continues to rally. Analysts are getting really, really bullish on this stock, and that's kind of what concerns me. The stock did break out to new record highs yesterday before pulling back. I'm in some weekly calls for puts for next week for a pullback. So we might see a bump here because we have the analyst upgrade this morning. Maybe we'll get a similar type move. We can top out here at about 1550 and then a pullback. And I think the ultimate move down is going to end up about the 110 level, right about here before we start moving up again. That's Apple. Google continues to look really weak. It was a nice recovery off the lows yesterday, though. I will say that. Look at the wick on the candle there, almost a hammer. If you look at the trading action, we had that pullback, but we still can't muster a close above this 550 level, which would be significant, and I think that would lead to, and I still think it's going to happen. But you can look at the trading action; it's not really saying it's going to happen. It looks like we're going to roll over here to about $500. We got to hold. If it does pull back, it has to hold support here at this long-term support line. If it doesn't, we're looking at 500, and then possibly closing this gap here from the end of 2013. The earnings report that sent it vaulting higher at about the 450 level. So from a chart perspective, it looks very weak. We hit a record high. We tried again, failed at it, failed at it, and it just kind of looks exhausted here. We get this long-term trend line, can't break above it. We can't hold this 550 level. Looks very weak here. Downside looming here for Google, but again, in this marketplace where everything seemingly just trends higher. I mean, look at the S&P 500. We got that Abenomics trend line, and we just erased this. Pull back like it never happened, because it really didn't. We just blink your eye and we're at record high stock prices. You pull up a 10-year monthly chart here and just look at the Abenomics trend line. The market is clearly respecting it, and anytime you have a trend like this, it's no sense fighting it. But again, I see a bearish chart like ROST. You know what? Look at this. I mean, to me, this looks like a beautiful megaphone topping pattern. And we'll see if it comes to fruition. I'm not going to bet the house or anything, but I'm going to buy some puts here in anticipation of a possible move lower. Let's see how Best Buy, still rocketing higher. This is a big move for Best Buy, up almost 10%. S&P 500 futures, let's see if they're off their lows, and they are. They bottom real quick. We're off our lows. We'll see if this downtrend continues. Again, every single dip since the lows of March 2009 at some point or another has led to higher stock prices. Has been a great buying opportunity. Every dip gets bought these days, so it's tough to sit there and on any short position too long. I think Apple's a nice pullback candidate, but again, at some point it's going to get bought, probably head to 120, 125. Same with Tesla, was pulling back. Tesla is still maintaining this trend line here, and this is a long-term chart. Obviously, Tesla hasn't been public that long, but again, this is where we want to hold support at about the 230. As long as we hold this, Tesla's going to head over $300. GoPro out this morning, $75 priced for their secondary offering, and you can see you pull a trend line across. We hit resistance yesterday, pulling back, nice red candle. We might get down into the 60s on GoPro before we start heading it back up to triple digits. UPBOptionMillionaires.com. It is Thursday, November 20, 2014. Stock futures are lower. Dollar-yen cross hit a new 7+ year high. We have the VIX is high, volatility index, and it's been a great run up since the lows about a little over 5 weeks ago. The market has clearly forgotten it. We're in that mundane kind of just melt higher. Everything is awesome. Everything is awesome. Stocks, I don't know. I was thinking last night, I could not sleep last night. I was looking at the dollar yen. was up, and the yen just keeps getting hammered. And I can only think of that Tom Petty song, "Free Fallin'." That's what it seemed like to me. So, all right, UPB. OptionMillionaires.com. We'll see you in the chat room. It's not too late. We have SPY contest. Guess the close of the SPY at the end of the price of the SPY at the end of the year. The contest entry period ends at the end of this week. So look at the blog at OptionMillionaires.com for more details. I'll see you in the chat room. Everyone have a great trading session. Again, ROST, trading for a pullback. Everyone, take care. Goodbye.